Cummins is in, and Monson Hodge is resolute as he comes right in behind this ball and plays defensively, looking here to make amends after his failure in recent times, because in the match against the Windies Volcanoes, he did not set the stage alight. In the first innings, he was one of the sore points of the Leewards batting, and so he is determined here, I would imagine, to get it right, because he has been one of the leading batters for the Hurricanes this season, looking to get up to 700 runs. He faces Cummins, and the batsman is again very defiant as he comes across that off stump and plays with a determined bat into the offside, and he goes up to the mid-off position, remains on 12 for 1.
Yes, so based on some calculations that I've done here, if we are to understand the point system correctly, Leewards started the game on 131.2 points, and they would have gotten 0.8 bowling points when they bowled Barbados, right? So that takes them to 132 points.
Miguel Cummins is on his way, goes past umpire Dugid, and this ball comes off the thick outside edge, runs down to third man. A challenging run here for Devin Walker. Will he be able to pull it back? He just does so, and Chase completes the duo role there of taking the ball after it was flicked back, and had the return into Shane Durridge, and the batsman completed 2 runs. So at the end of that over from Miguel Cummins, the Leewards Hurricanes batting a second time, trailing by 101 on first innings. They're 14 for 1, 14 for 1. Casey Carty caught by Carter of the bowling of Mindley for 4 when the score was on 12.
Yes. So yes, I was going through some calculations here, and the Leewards are now, if we are to understand the point system correctly, the Leewards are now on 132 points, having earned themselves 0.8 bowling points in the first innings. Barbados would have earned themselves 2 bonus points in the first innings, so they would have added 2 points to their 116.8, so they're now at 118.8 points. If they win the game, they add an additional 12 points to that 118, which takes them now to 130.8 points. So what they're looking at doing now is getting all 10 Leewards wickets with their fast bowlers, which would give them an additional 2 points, which would take them now to 132.8 points.
And that would give them the runners-up position?
Not necessarily, because if they bat a second time and Leewards were to take 5 of the Bajan wickets with their fast bowlers while they're chasing the runs, Leewards will remain in second place.
Let me make a point here, a point of clarification. Barbados know what they're doing, because the bonus points, with the exception for wickets taken by the fast bowlers, that's what he said, by fast bowlers?
By fast bowlers, yes.
Right, it would be.
That's why I said Leewards would have to take 5 wickets by the fast bowlers, yes.
So that's the strategic warfare that's taking place out in the middle. Ball, which is wide outside the line of the off stump from Qian Harding. So Mindley had that one over from this end. And we're really trying to sort out the points accumulation and so on. And the listeners would be aware that can be a challenge.
It can be.
Can be a challenge, because you have to keep calculating and
yes,
and trying to make sure that you have it right.
And that is why it's pertinent for Leewards to build a big enough lead after erasing the deficit to give their fast bowlers something to work with.
Ball is pushed into the offside by Devon Thomas, coming out at the fall of Carty's wicket. Good-looking defensive push.
Now, if you notice something, when Qian Harding bowled yesterday, he had more players on the onside, and that is because he could not maintain his line outside off stump. Today now they've given him 2 slips on the gully. He has started out, and you could see an exaggerated effort for him to keep the ball outside off stump, and he has less players on the onside. Let's see how this pans out in terms of as he continues his spell.
So here is Qian Harding, and it's full length driven back to the bowler. He cocks the right arm, trying to knock the stumps over should Devon Thomas leave his crease. It was a firm drive by Thomas, but intercepted by the bowler.
And there are a few elements about Harding's bowling that I'm particularly impressed with. He bowls a very good Yorker. I would like to see him in limited overs matches. If he can get all his things right, bowling at the death. And I'll continue.
Harding right arm over the wicket, outside the off stump. Ball lifting after pitching outside that line, taken by wicketkeeper Shane Dorridge.
He also has a decent pace, and he has that late movement with the ball tailing in, and that is a very good a very good natural ability to have when you have a fast bowler bowling at the depth of a limited overs game, because you want it right up there in the block hole where he could knock batsmen over, but gives them a limited opportunity to extend their arms to hit the boundary balls.
Has now taken 24 wickets, Qian Harding, in first-class cricket. Started this game with 19. Here's a ball which is on the legs of Devon Thomas, and he flicks it away towards the backward square position. And perhaps he would have been mindful of the way he got out in the first innings.
Yes.
He got a ball of similar length and clipped it straight to Roston Chase, who is in that position again, backward of the umpire. So he did not go with the same force as he did in the first innings.
Well, I have a quick question for you, Jack. In terms of the fast bowlers that we have seen on display in the last two matches, and even in the first game that we did against Guyana, what do you think of the fast bowling stock in the region?
This ball is short and pulled away just over the head of the fielder at that mid-on position. And he runs back. That looks to be Shima holder at mid-on. Devon Thomas not getting hold of that. It was a short ball from Qian Harding, and he went for the hook shot and got it high up on the back. Luckily for him, he went over the head of holder at mid-on, and they cross for a single. So the over has ended with a score on 15 for 1. Monson Hodge unbeaten on 10 and 1 to Devon Thomas. Casey Carter dismissed, caught by Carter at second slip of the bowling of Mindley for 4 when the score was 12.
I think that little extra bounce is probably what had Devon Thomas in a little bit of trouble there just a while ago. And in addition to that, he was pulling from outside off stump. So that little additional bounce, he did not get a chance to control it as well as he would have liked to and get maximum from that shot.
And it will be Cummins to continue the attack from the far end. He will begin his third over. 2 overs so far, and he has conceded a couple of boundaries. 10 runs off his 2 overs. He comes in to bowl to, and Devon Thomas pulls away. The signal of dead ball comes from umpire Nigel Duguid. It was a late decision to pull out.
Yeah,
of
very
that.
late.
Something must have been said. Something certainly went wrong. But Devon Thomas was clearly not receiving that ball. He pulled away at the last minute, and the ball went by signal of dead ball coming from the umpire. 15 for 1.
Yes, he certainly pulled out of that, and it was dangerously close to that point of no return when he pulled out of that shot.
Yes, it was clear. Cummins, as most fast bowlers would see it as a wasted run-in, wasted effort. So he comes in once more to bowl to Thomas, and Thomas is looking to whip the ball away. He does, but he goes straight to the man at square leg. That's Shane Mosley, and there is no run. A firm clip off his legs, Devon Thomas. He's been timing the ball well.
Yes, I would say that he's been timing well. Actually, for the past few games, he's been timing the ball well.
And he got a classy 100 against the Windies to carry the Leewards over the line.
And I believe he will be looking for another one today.
Well, he will need to score, and score runs that would put the Leewards in with a chance of winning this match. Here is he beaten by a ball outside the line. No ball called by umpire Duguid. That extra carries the score to 16, but it was a good delivery in terms of where it pitched and the pace it had as well. And Devon Thomas was undone by the pace of that full-length delivery.
But not only that, it was on a good length and may have moved a bit. We wouldn't be able to pick up that subtle movement that probably would have undone him also.
In the bottom of the table clash unfolding at the Bright Lar Cricket Academy in Trinidad. Trinidad and Tobago Red Force bowled out for 389. Here is Devon Thomas getting ball, which comes off the edge, but falls well short of Roston Chase in the gully. 94 from the bat of the West Indies player, Jason Mohammed. He got 94, agonizingly close to 100, falling there. An innings which included some 7 4s and 3 6s. 64, Kyle Hope. 63, Jeremy Solozano. 41 from the bat of Dinesh Ramdin. 31 from Carripier, who has developed into quite a good law of the batsman. Carripier, the left-arm spinner. Cummins is in, and Devon Thomas is whipping the ball away, but it goes down to Qian Harding at that fine leg position. Good-looking stroke, timing the ball sweetly. It rushed from his bat, clipping that one off the hip area. And the score has gone on to 17 for 1. 17 for 1. So 389 all out. Trinidad and Tobago red force. And Jamaica batting 12 for no wicket in reply. 7-wicket haul for Nicholson Gordon, a fast bowler from Jamaica. 7 for 70. Cummins, another fast bowler, is in, and this is hit beautifully down past the bowler for 4. Monson Hodge timed that perfectly. Ball of full length, and he came forward and he drove it. And Cummins had absolutely no chance. The ball sped along the ground past him and down to the boundary for 4. Exquisite timing.
Oh, that was very well timed. You could see the bowler was in two minds whether he should put his hands, whether he should put his legs, and then after he just apparently skipped over the ball and let it go on its way.
Yes, a wonderful stroke from Monson Hodge. He has been in form as well. So Nicholson Gordon from Jamaica, 7 for 70 of 22 overs against Trinidad and Tobago red force, and this time he's defending Monson Hodge and plays the ball into the offside. A little bit of lackadaisical effort on the part of the man at mid-off, and also the bowler.
Actually,
normally
the bowler
who would normally come
there.
across, yeah,
Yes.
and the expectation was that he would go for the ball, and bowlers tend to be very, very mean, so that's expected because they don't want to concede runs, and so you expect the bowler to go for that particular ball. Just pushed away towards the short mid-off position. The mid-off was back, and he expected the bowler to converge onto the ball, but he did not, so they ran a single. Devon Thomas on strike now, and he hits it beautifully down the ground, 4 runs. Closer to the mid-off on this occasion, but it was a despairing dive by the mid-off fielder, and the ball rushed away for 4. So the Leewards are 28 now, 26 for 1, 26 for 1, with Monson Hodge on 15 and Devon Thomas on 6, more from Vinci, and then it will be the voice of Garfield Burfoot.
Yes, without saying too much, I definitely like what I'm seeing from the Leewards so far from the batting perspective. Devon Thomas and Monson Hodge are both timing the ball very well. They're not taking on the bowling per se. What they're doing is playing the balls according to merit, and they're getting very good quality or very good value for taking that approach, because when the balls are there to be hit, they are hitting them and getting very well played cricket shot centuries instead without having to take on the bowling. And from that perspective, it is a positive outlook for what for the approach so far by the Leewards in this second innings.
Very good afternoon to you again. Very good morning again to you, Vinci, and good morning to our listeners right across the Caribbean, and also those consuming our broadcast on this live stream on windiscricket.com. This is, of course, the symbol of supremacy in regional first-class cricket. This is the Headley Weeks Trophy that is being played for here. This is the final week of competition. For a competition that started in December last year, this is the final week. 2 matches, the last 2 matches. One here at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium as Qian Harding runs away from the Sir Curtly Ambrose end, bowls, and beaten outside the off stump is Monson Hodge, hanging his bat out there, no foot movement. That was a shot that was begging for disaster, Vinci.
Yes, it was. And again, I think it's the uncertainty of playing Qian Harding. The reason why I say that, in the first innings, he had a different line. Today, he has adjusted. Yes, he did take 5 wickets in the first innings, but in the first innings, he was predominantly on the legs, outside leg stump. today he has been able to make that adjustment, and he's now consistently outside off stump. And I think in some respects the batsmen in a way are looking for him to continue straying. The other thing that I think is a positive about his bowling is that he gets the ball to move into the batsman, and he also gets a bit of late movement, and that also is a very troubling for batsmen.
Creates uncertainty. Here he is again, bowls, and this delivery again coming in. So this one, instead of pitching and moving off the seam to the slip cordon, that one was actually coming into the batsman, tucked him up a little bit, Monson Hodge. And he managed to deal with it effectively, negotiated that delivery effectively. The ball just dropping dead on the pitch. No run, so the score remains 26 for 1. The Leewards Hurricanes batting a second time. They would, of course, have fresh in their minds a disastrous first innings in which they were dismissed for 90, handing the Barbados Pride a first innings lead of 101. They declared on 191 for 8. We talked about the strategy involved in that. Here comes Qian bowls into this delivery. Monson Hodge leaving that one to be taken by wicketkeeper Shane Dorwich. It created some challenges for him because it was actually low. It actually kept low. Yeah. But he did very well, and it's a mark of a good keeper that he got his body behind it and his pants behind it.
And he, I must say,
unlike what we saw with Emmanuel Stewart in the first innings of the Windies Volcanoes match, he considered about 4 boundaries in buys because he did not get his body behind the ball. The ball actually went straight to his legs.
Yes. But what I must say also about Dorwich is that he has grown as a wicket keeper since he has started wicket keeping for the West Indies.
Here comes Qian to bowl, and wide outside the off stump again, left alone by Monson Hodge. No change to the score, 26 for 1 the score remains. So the Leewards Hurricanes, as I said, looking to ensure that they maintain their position in terms of consolidating their position in this one and bat in a much different way for the first time than the first innings.
Yes, I mean, so far they are batting with a lot more purpose. They look a lot more energetic out there, and I like what I'm seeing. However, as I said, I want to save my comments because Casey Carty kind of like he wanted to put a little wind in my comments, and I don't want to say anything too early. Yes.
Here comes Qian to bowl to Monson Hodge again outside the off stump, not committing to a shot was Monson Hodge.
Yeah, you could see that ball, even though it pitched wide, you could see the keeper now going towards the leg side to take it, because again that predominant in swing that Qian has, and he also gets late movement. And I tell you, for any batsman, late movement in any form of the game is what does in a batsman more so than often.
Absolutely. We're going to talk about the point standings, and we're going to be talking about the strategy involved and all the permutations and the calculations. And by the way, it's the day after a new record was set for Pi. As here comes Qian he bowls, and Monson Hodge forward in defense, compact looking defensive shot, bat and pad close together. The end of that over, the end of which the Leewards Hurricanes have progressed to 26 for 1. And by the way, yesterday there was a new record set for pi, 3.14. Of course, you're dividing the circumference of a circle by its diameter. You get 3.14. It continues. It continues infinitely.
Yes.
And the record has been set a new record. I'm going to be telling you about that shortly. But let's talk about the permutations for the point standing here and the kind of calculations and assessment that goes into each of the teams here. For example, why the Barbados Pride would have declared at 191 for 8, which would have surprised some of our listeners, because they would be asking why not bat out and extend the lead as much as possible and try to only bat once. You're talking about the point standings. Tell us the point standings as they are now and what each team needs to do based on where they are, because Barbados Pride looking to come second, Leewards having the opportunity of actually winning the championships. Barbados Pride having the option of...
well, in terms of winning the championships, the Leewards are completely out of it.
They can't win now.
They cannot win the championships.
Because of the points in the first
because they weren't able to acquire any bonus points, any significant batting bonus points. Presently, the Leewards would be at 132 points if we are to understand the point system correctly. And I say that by virtue of the fact that they got 4 fast bowling wickets in the first
We'll continue after this delivery. New over from Shima Holder. He's bowling from the Sir Andy Roberts end. A change of bowling. So for the first time, Shima Holder coming in. And that delivery wide outside the off stump. Devon Thomas not offering a shot. So you were continuing.
Yes, so they would have gotten 0.8 bowling points by virtue of Alzari being the only fast bowler to get wickets, and he got 4. So that would have been 4 times 0.2. That would have taken them from 131.2 to 132 points. What the Bajans were mindful of, that Alzari was bowling very well this morning. They didn't want him to get the other two wickets, which would have given Leewards an additional .4 points.
After this delivery from Shimar Holder, bowls and rising delivery, well dealt with by Devon Thomas, is getting on the back foot and making sure that he got on top of that one, playing it into the leg side, and it's fielded by the man at square leg. Right,
so they were trying to eliminate that further .4 points. Now, when they go to bowl Leewards, if their fast bowlers get all 10 wickets of the Leewards, that gives Barbados another 2 points to add to their first innings total of 2 bowling points. They didn't get any batting points, so you get up to 118.2, and an additional 2 points takes them to 120.2.
Shimar Holder bowls and full pitch delivery. You're looking for the Yorker there. Didn't quite get it, and Devon Thomas striking this one nicely, but stopped it mid-off. There is no run, 26 for 1.
Sorry, I said 120.2. I actually meant 120.8. Now, with winning the game outright, they would get an additional 12 points. So you add 12 to 120.8 gives them 132.8, which gives them 0.8 points above the Leewards. Now, for Leewards to eliminate that, they want to ensure that they take 5 wickets. Hold on.
Shimar Holder bowls and rising delivery. A little bit of hesitation here as they go for the run, but they get the run eventually. Devon Thomas just playing that one into the leg side. The man from the square leg area just runs around. They hesitated, but they got the run eventually. So one more run to Devon Thomas.
Yes, what the Leewards would want to do is ensure that their fast bowlers get at least 4 of the Bajan wickets in that second innings. What that does, it puts them on equal points. If they get an additional wicket, which is 5 in the second innings, Barbados would not be able to leapfrog them, and Leewards would be able to secure their second place position.
So just for our listeners to be absolutely clear, we're talking about a lot of math and computations and permutations. This is a battle for second place. This is effectively a battle for second place. First place, so we know for absolute certainty that Ghana Jaguars have lifted their 5th straight title. It's now a battle for second place between these two teams. Here comes Shimar Holder bowls, and this delivery just back of a length, and just playing forward was Monson Hodge, playing it into the cover area. There is no run. They were looking for a single there, but it wasn't quite there, and they stay on 27 for 1. So it's essentially a battle for second place, and this is what it comes down to. It's between these two teams, who's going to come second to Ghana Jaguars, who are lifting their 5th straight title. And by the way, congratulations to Ghana Jaguars. Very well played in this competition.
I think, yes, you would have to say that they played very well during the competition and consistently, and they understood what they were doing as a team.
Shimar Holder bowls and beaten outside the off stump. Going for the drive there was Monson Hodge, and he was nowhere near to it. Fortunately for him, the ball didn't take an edge. That's the end of the over from Shimar Holder. His first 1 over, and just 1 run conceded from that over. 27 for 1, the Leewards Hurricanes. And a very interesting and intriguingly poised match as these two teams battle for second place. It's a matter of at the end of this match, we know what's going to happen. The Ghana Jaguars have already won the West Indies Championships for 2018-2019. One of these two teams will come second, the other third. The other match is taking place at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy. We'll tell you about an update on that one in a short while. That's the bottom of the table clash, not impacting on the top 3 certainly. So that's a matter of who will come second to last and who will come last in that one. We say thanks to Vince Boyne for breaking down those permutations for us. And when we join Anthony Martin in the comments position, he'll be talking with us about pi. He's a mathematician, you know, Vince. Here comes Leewards Hurricanes facing Devon Thomas, facing from Qian Harding. Short delivery, that one ballooning over. And Devon Thomas simulating a shot after. By the way, it's signaled wide, as it should be, because Qian Harding looking for the short delivery, but it was misdirected. It went wide of the off stump. Devon Thomas never needed to have played it. He chose not to. But when the ball went through to be taken by Shane Dowridge, he was actually simulating a shot that he could have played, which was pretty much an uppercut over the slip cordon, but he thought better of it. And 28 for 1, the score remains. Devon Thomas to face from Qian Harding again. Here comes Qian Harding, runs into bowl to Devon Thomas, passing the umpire, bowls, and that one driven down the leg side, on the onside straight. The mid-on fielder runs around, but the Devon Thomas strolls through for a single. So it's 29 for 1 now. So Monson Hodge to take strike. As our comments as Vinci and Anthony Martin have a little discussion about, for example, the point standings. Very good morning again, Anthony. A warm welcome to you.
Good morning. Good morning to our listeners. Yes, and the Leeward Islands trying to establish a partnership here, which they badly need.
Here comes Qian Harding running away from the Sir Kirkley Ambrose end, and he balls. And a full pitch to delivery. Monson Hodge equal to the task, just digs this one out. A yoker length delivery, and it was dug out. And the ball just trickles down to mid-on. There is no run. 29 for 1. Monson Hodge on 15. Devon Thomas on 8. Extras just 2. And we're now into the 8th over of the Leewards Hurricanes innings. 71.4 overs left for the day. The partnership worth 17 so far as Monson Hodge facing Qian Harding. Runs in balls and delivery struck on the pad. Loud appeal, but this one, he seems to have been struck either high or outside the stump. The umpire not interested. Verdine Smith, the umpire, is unmoved, much to the disappointment of the of the Barbados Pride, who, in a way, perhaps some of their players, especially Shane Dorridge et al., would have played in Test cricket, and you could see on their face a little bit of looking as if, can we send this one to be to the DRS? But of course, there is no DRS in the first class.
Send it up
Send it to us, because we are primely placed. We have a perfect vantage point to see that one. Perhaps not as perfect as it could have been had we been over that side. When they were using this, they were actually using the next pitch for the last one. Here comes Qian Harding. He runs in balls, and that one well fielded by the bowler Qian Harding on his follow through. That one is a drive by Monson Hodge, hard into the pitch. Actually, no ball. So a no ball. Oh well, okay. It was signal 2, not a no ball, was it? Okay.
2 more balls.
Of course. Okay. But he just he actually gave me a little bit of.
Yeah.
Well, okay. You were signaling to the other man. You were signaling to the other umpire. All right. You almost confused us a while ago. Here comes Qian Harding running in to ball to Monson Hodge. Balls and this delivery. Forward defensive comes Monson Hodge, striking this one down to mid-off. There is no run. 2 slips, a gully, man at point, a mid-off, as well as a mid-wicket, a man just back of the square on the leg side, mid-on, as well as a man on the fine leg boundary. You know what came to me actually, that we were discussing with Vincey Boy in the Winwards Volcanoes match last week, that in the first innings of the Leewards innings, Emmanuel Stewart was the wicketkeeper, and he conceded a number of byes. Perhaps there should have been a long stop for him. I haven't seen those used in a long while. Here comes Qian Harding. He runs in and aborting the delivery. Dead ball signaled by the umpire. Something not quite right with a run in there from Qian Harding. He chose not to deliver, and he goes back to his mark. 29 for 1, the Leewards Hurricanes. Anthony.
Yes, as I mentioned, the Leeward Islands going along, nicely, trying to establish a partnership here. But as we notice, Qian Harding's stock delivery is that in Docker, and I find the Leeward Islands to be playing him much better than the first inning.
Here comes Qian Harding running in again. He bowls, and this delivery is struck nicely off the pads by Monson Hodge. That one will run close to the boundary, and it will run into the boundary now. 4 runs. Nicely played off the pads by Monson Hodge. Timing was nice and perfect. He got it into the boundary, back with just for the square on the leg side, and it's 33 for 1. His score now moves on to 19. Devin Thomas on 8. The end of that over from Qian Harding, one in which he was taken to the boundary for 4 of the last ball.
Yes, nicely played there by Monson Hodge. Harding just guilty of bowling just a little bit too straight, and Hodge timed that one and placed it very well, and he got the result that he was looking for, and the result that the Leeward Islands are also looking for. So the Bajans now have to show, why did they declare. I understand all about the points and everything, but yet still, you still have to come and show your worth, as in, yes, we declared, so we declared to knock over the Leeward Islands, so they have to put up that showing.
Absolutely. They have to justify their decision. Here comes Shima Holder from the Sir Randy Robertson bowling to Devon Thomas, who just plays this one nicely and neatly into the leg side, back with a square on the leg side. There is a run for them as the fielder from the fine leg boundary runs off and fields this one easily. The value of the number pi has been calculated to a new world record length of 31 trillion digits, far past the previous record of 22 trillion. Emma Haruka Hoy, a Google employee from Japan, found the new digits with the help of the company's cloud computing service. pi, of course, is the number you get when you divide a circle's circumference by its diameter. Back to that after this. Ball from Shima Holder outside the off stump, left alone by Monson Hodge. No need for a shot, no shot offered. The first digits, 3.14, are well known, but the number is infinitely long. Extending the known sequence of digits in pi is very difficult because the number follows no set pattern. And Anthony Martin is an authority on this. Perhaps the next record will be set by him. Anthony doesn't commit one way or the other, he smiles. We shall see what happens. Shimar Holder will be looking to set a record in this one. To take wickets, here it comes from the Randy Roberts, and he bowls to Monson Hodge, again outside the off stump, but this one closer to the off stump, and the bowler agonizing as he figured that that one could have been perhaps miscalculated or misjudged by the batsman. So the number pi, Anthony, perhaps you don't want to talk about the record, but I'm sure you want to go at it another time.
Continue. If you're talking about pie, continue. I'd like to have some pie now.
He says he doesn't want to talk about the PI, he wants to talk about the PIE. All right, let's see what happens. Leewards Hurricanes 34 for 1. As Shimar Holder running into ball to Monson Hodge. Runs in balls, and Hodge flicks this one nicely off the pads. 4 runs down to the wide long on boundary. Well, valid effort. Did he save it? He actually did. Just inches within the boundary. Brilliant work there. So very, very nicely done. And it's 3 runs they come back for. So nicely done, actually. Nice flick off the pads, by the way. And that one down to the wide long on boundary.
Yes, nicely timed there again by Monson Hodge. Just straight into the pads there is Shima Holder. And Hodge timed that one nicely through the wide mid-wicket region there. And the fielder there, I think, Cummins, gave good chase. And he saved 1 for his team. Brilliant work there by the big fast bowler there, Cummins.
So at the end of this over, we'll be hearing from Colin James. Shimar Holder will be bowling his 5th delivery of this over. And just a little bit of... Okay, that's the glove that being put back on. As we see the Champions League last 8 draw being done. And it's actually Spurs drawing Man City. Interesting. Shimar Holder running in. Balls. And this delivery, Monson Hodge is playing that down to the offside. And there is no run. The score remains 36 for 1. Leewards Hurricanes. Monson Hodge 29. Devon Thomas on 9. I said just 2 extras.
Yes, the Leeward Islands, you know, fighting on here. Fighting for survival, I would say. And the Bajans now, they would want to pick up another wicket here before lunch to peg the Leeward Islands even further back.
Shimar Holder with the last ball of this over, running into ball to Monson Hodge, and Monson Hodge plays it nicely into the mid-wicket area. He retains his strike because they go through for a quick single. That's the end of the over from Shimar Holder. 37 for 1, the Leewards Hurricanes. In response, they're trailing by 101 runs. They first have to clear that deficit before they start to set a target. At the end of these comments from Anthony Martin, it'll be time for Colin James to take you to lunch.
Yeah, Shima Holder there getting the ball to come back into the right-hand batters after pitching, after hitting the seam. And yeah, he's trying to create some problems here for the Leeward Islands, but on few occasions, you know, happen to be just a little bit too straight and strain onto the pads. And, you know, Monson Hodge would make easy work of those sort of deliveries as we welcome Colin James.
Good morning to you, Anthony. As we wait to see this new over, or is it a change of bowling, or is it going to be Mindley continuing? So Mindley will continue. The batsman just wasn't ready.
From Harding to Mindley.
So Mindley has bowled 1 over so far, and he has changed ends. So he's coming up the slope.
Nice.
Yes, so yeah, he has just switched ends. So Mindley will try for Barbados. Leewards 34 for 1 as he moves in from the Curtly Ambu's end, and this delivery is a Yorker land delivery, and well played by the batsman in Monson Hodge. He was able to get down on it and quickly too, because that was aiming for middle stump, Anthony.
Yes. Nicely played here. You know, he had to dug that one out. You know, Mindley was right on target for his first delivery of his new spell.
So 2 slips a gully, a point, a cover, a mid-off, mid-on, mid wicket and a man on the long leg boundary. As Minley to Hodge, and Hodge is leaving this one to go by. This could be a very interesting partnership for the Leewards if it's allowed to go beyond lunch. If it goes beyond lunch, not allowed to, but if the batsmen bat beyond lunch.
Yes, this is the partnership that they would want to carry on, to carry them to a substantial total in order to have that sort of backative to bowl at when it's their turn to bowl.
Minley turns as he moves into Hodge, and Hodge is defending again on the back foot and then coming forward. No ball signaled by the umpire, so one goes on to the Leewards total. It's 38 for 1. Not so good news coming out of New Zealand this morning, Anthony. Bangladesh cricketers were minutes, in inverted commas, from being inside a mosque in which a fatal mass shooting in New Zealand took place, says team manager Khalid Mashood.
Yes, but
Players and coaching staff were 50 yards away from the Al Noon Mosque in Christchurch when the shooting began. 49 people were killed and many more seriously injured. What is that saying about security for cricketers in the world? Minley, who, under no threat of any sort of reprisal, so to speak, delivers to Hodge, and Hodge is defended. But it's a serious cause for concern, Anthony, where the Bangladesh cricketers were within 50 yards of the mosque when the shooting took place. Were they being targeted?
Probably. I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about that. But
just in the wrong place at the wrong time. That's the view of Garfield Burford. As Minley to Hodge, and Hodge is leaving this one to go by off stump. And the report continues. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, that's the New Zealand Prime Minister, she said it was a terrorist attack at the two mosques, while more than 20 people were seriously injured. Mashoud, the Bangladesh team manager, said the team are all safe and sound in the hotel but will travel home in the coming days. Players were crying on the bus. They were mentally affected, the former wicketkeeper batsman told the BBC Bengali service. The test match between New Zealand and Bangladesh has been cancelled as a result. Delivery outside of off stump by Minley through to the wicketkeeper.
Yes, good delivery there by Minley. Minley just probing just outside that off stump, trying to take the edge of Monson Hodge there, as Monson Hodge tried to concentrate and try to get some runs to his name for this game, because he failed in both innings in the game last week. He would have failed in the first inning here, and he would now want to, make good use of this opportunity.
He faces Minley again, and for this delivery is wide of off stump, and not interested in playing a shot is Monson Hodge, leaving it to go through the wicketkeeper. So it's just about 12 minutes before the interval, and both batsmen will want to stay there and come back after lunch.
Yes, well, I guess that would be the talk. Devon Thomas and Monson Hodge, which are the two leading run scorers for the Leeward Islands. So they would want to see them at the wicket for a very long time to continue their run scoring trend.
So Thomas, he will face this over coming up. 38 for 1, the Leeward Islands, as holder to Thomas, and Thomas is getting a delivery, rising as it went past him. Might have just pulled out of the line of the delivery at the last moment, but certainly a testing, teasing delivery there from holder.
Yeah, seems as if he played inside the line of that particular delivery, and that one bounced quite high as well, so he would not have been able to control any shot.
So holder will try again. Nice to the performance by the Leewards in the first hour of the day split this morning. Getting 4 wickets before Barbados declared. Here is Thomas now rocking back onto the back foot and pulling this one away between the mid wicket and the man at wide mid on. They get 2 runs, 2 comfortable runs by the batsman, and Thomas maybe not timing it as he would have wanted to, but still an effective shot, and he was able to get it for 2, and he moves on to 11, and the score moves on to 40 for 1.
Yeah, I don't think he timed that one as well as he would have liked. The previous delivery was much quicker than that one, so maybe he was playing for that sort of pace as the previous delivery.
Still 61 runs in the deficit, the Leeward Islands. 101 they are behind, or they were behind when Barbados declared at 191 for 8. Your views on the Barbados declaration, Anthony, quickly?
Well, my view on the Barbados declaration, I'm not thinking about any points. I think the Bajans think they could knock over the Leeward Islands for a small target, a small score, because they never scored a lot in the first inning.
Here is Holder to Thomas, and Thomas is guiding this one wide of the gully fielder, between the gully and the point fielder. Down to the boundary, it goes for 4. I think that was a deliberate shot there by Devon Thomas, just coming forward and opening the face of the bat and steering it between the gully and point fielder. You share that view, Anthony?
Well,
4 runs
no,
to him?
not convincing to me. Seems as if he was in two mind. He thought about playing and then think about, let me leave this one. But by that time now, the ball had hit the bat and went safely down to the boundary for 4, which is 4 welcome runs for him and for the Leeward Islands.
So, you think he's living a little bit dangerously there?
That time.
Here is Holder to Thomas, and Thomas is picking up the line of this delivery and leaving it to go through outside of the off stump.
Yes, well played, well bowled. That's some good cricket there. So we're in for a good game today, Colin. You know, a small score to declare, and Leeward Islands made a small score in their first inning, and they would want to put up a better showing here now in their second inning, which would mean a lot to them, or would mean how the game, what the result would be.
So, it's a very testing time and a very interesting time in this game. Here is Thomas playing an expansive, extravagant, attempted drive at a delivery wide of off stump. Had that even taken the faintest of edges, it would have gone straight down to the wicketkeeper.
Yes, that was a risky shot. That was a wild shot there by Thomas, you know. No foot movement, anything. Just stood there and threw the bat at that one. That could have gone anywhere. And fortunate for him, he didn't get an edge onto that, so he survived.
Thomas faces Holder again, and for this delivery, he's leaving it to go wide of off stump, bouncing a little bit more than the previous delivery and going through to the wicketkeeper. At the end of it, end of the over, 44 for 1, the Leeward Islands. Monson Hodge is on 22 and Devon Thomas is on 15.
Yeah, Shima Holder, I could see what he's working at. He's working on the off stump, just outside the off stump, outside of Thomas's off stump, because if you notice, Thomas played a few rash shots outside the off stump. Two rash shots, one getting an edge for 4 and another missing, and Thomas needs to buckle down and put up a good showing here for the Leeward Islands, as he did in the second inning against the Windward Islands.
So, coming up to the luncheon interval, just about 6.5 minutes ago, this delivery from Mindley over to Monson Hodge. Hodge is back and just dabbing it down or steering it into the point region. The fielder comes across and feels keenly.
Yeah, Mindley just trying to work on Hodge here, same as Holder is trying to work on the off stump of Thomas. Mindley trying the same thing here with Hodge.
Mindley again to Hodge, and Hodge is coming forward and playing with the full face of the bat. Ball going back along the pitch on the onside for the mid-on fielder to field. Anthony, what are your thoughts? Had this game been played, let's go back maybe 10-15 years, had this game been played at the Antigua Recreation Ground, what do you think the turnout would have been like?
Well, for me, the turnout would have been much better than here at the Survive, because, you know, it's more in the city area, walking distance.
So Mindley to Hodge, and Hodge is leaving this delivery to go by through to the wicketkeeper. So it bears the point that the Survive, excellent stadium, one of the best maybe in the world, and brings us back to the point that a secondary venue is always useful for matches of this nature, especially where people have easy access to it.
Yeah, even at the Coolidge Cricket Grounds, that would have been an okay venue for such a match.
Okay, maybe it could have been a day-nighter.
Even that.
Even here too, could have been a day-nighter.
And then you would have gotten a better crowd if this was a day-nighter here at the Seviv.
You ever think about working for Cricket West Indies? Well, mainly to Hodge, and Hodge is defending, and that ball going on to the offside, no run resulting. And if you don't want to answer, don't answer the question,
No,
Anthony.
You have to have a big name to work for the West Indies cricket, but I don't.
So you think Mr. Burford, who is dressed in a tan
He stands
blazer,
a very good chance.
he has a tan blazer this morning. You think he stands a good chance?
A very good chance.
Working for Cricket West Indies.
My name is a small name, man. They don't
Notwithstanding the fact that you played for the West Indies. Mainly to Hodge, and for this delivery, Hodge is playing it into the onside, bringing the man around to his right at mid-wicket. A single to Hodge. He moves on to 23, and the score moves on to 45 for 1.
Yes, a nice little partnership building here for the Leeward Islands. They're about 33 between them now, and they would want to continue this going into lunch. They would not want to lose any more wickets going into lunch, so they could have this platform to start after lunch.
Mainly to Thomas, and this one is cutting back into Thomas, and he was on top of it, jumping as he played the shot defensively into the offside, down into the gully region, and the score at the end of the over remains on 45 for 1. The Leewards in their second innings, chasing a target or deficit of 101 to make Barbados bat a second time.
Well, the Leewards would have to really dig deep here, because they would want to get that 101 runs with no more than 2 wickets lost. Because any more than 2 wickets lost to get 101, then they're finding themselves in a hole again. So they would want to keep it to this 1 wicket that they've lost, or 2 maximum to get to the 101 target.
This could be the final over before lunch, as Holder moves into Hodge, and Hodge is leaving a delivery wide of off stump as it went through to the wicket keeper. But coming back to the whole question of the ARG and the use of it vis-a-vis cricket and other sporting events, I don't think anyone would want to take away football from the ARG in terms of what it brings to the sport. But from the point of view of having a game of this nature in the heart of St. John's, so to speak, would always do well for spectator support.
Yes, and even the tourists, because in the city there are lots of tourists at this time.
You're sounding like a marketing guru, Anthony. Here's a delivery driven up on the onside by Monson Hodge, and the fielder comes around to his left, feels keenly, and no run resulting. You're speaking about marketing to the tourists.
Yes, it's it's something that the tourists would love to maybe have a little view of some
and
cricket.
many British visitors are in Antigua this time.
Yes, correct. Lots of cruise ships and lots of aircrafts coming in with tourists, so that would be something good.
Hodge faces delivery wide of off stump. So maybe it's something that the authorities need to look into from a point of view in the future going forward. Obviously, there will be football at the ARG. Football will continue at the ARG. But maybe something can be worked out that if we're going to host these regional first-class matches, we have to spruce up the ARG to the extent that we get it in condition for maybe a 4-day game or 2.
Well, yes, and I think maybe you're in a perfect position in which you could suggest these things.
I was waiting for that wrong one to come from you, Anthony. Here's the delivery, beating the batsman, bouncing appreciatively as well. That was a good lift from Anthony.
No, that was a straight one.
That was
easily played.
But Hodge beating outside of off stump there by that delivery. The score remains on 45-1. Good over here from Holder in the context of the match, keeping the batsman quiet.
Yeah,
the batsman in Hodge quiet.
Yes, Holder really looking to try to get another wicket to take them, the Bajans, into lunch. Very happy.
We're just on the stroke of midday according to my watch. Here's an off drive by Monson Hodge. Will get about 2 runs for it, maybe a third if they run quickly, but they're not in. Oh, it goes into the boundary. Well, for a moment I thought the fielder was gathering onto the ball, and at the last moment the ball seemed to have just speed up a bit and beat the fielder as he tried in vain with what would have been an attempted save with his right foot, and it went into the boundary for 4. So 4 runs for Monson Hodge. He moves on to 27 and score moves on to 49 for 1.
Yes, that was a nicely timed shot there by Monson Hodge, through the covers, very well played to the right of the extra cover, and the fielder was giving chase from the mid-off position, but he was chasing in vain. He was chasing just to retrieve, to get the ball back into play.
It was as if the ball was playing cat and mouse with him.
Correct.
Hodge is on 27, faces Holder, which could be the final delivery before lunch. Holder to Hodge, and Hodge leaves a delivery wide of off stump. Could have even been called a wide by the umpire, but he was not interested in doing so, and the ball going through to the wicketkeeper. End of the session before lunch. The Leeward Islands ending in a relatively comfortable position from the point of view of their second innings, 49 for 1. They're still 52 runs in the deficit, but a much better batting performance from the Leewards than on the first day when they had lost about 5 wickets before lunch.
Yeah, this was a good day's play, a good little session for the Leeward Islands. I would say it was a good session. The Leeward Islands have won this session, to lunch. The Leeward Islands have won this. They may not have been, able to bowl out the Bajans because they declared, and they started their second inning on 49 for 1 now, and that's a good little start for them compared to the first inning, which they made a mockery of their batting. They are much stabilized now in order to go on further and have a big total or a better total for the Bajans to chase.
But first, they have to get the extra 52 runs to make Barbados bat again. Would they lose any wickets before they get there? If they do, how many? If they get the next 52 runs, how much more will they get to give Barbados a target to chase? Well, all that will play out in the next 4 hours or so after lunch. But at the interval, the Leeward Islands, 49 for 1 in their second innings. But you wanted to make a point before we go to the break, Anthony.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned before, the Leeward Islands would not want to lose more than 2 wickets to get to that 101. Any more than that 2 wickets to get to the 101, then they will be finding themselves in some problems there. And just to go back a little bit on the cricket in the ARG, I noticed they put this light on the western side there, so they seem to me as if they eliminate cricket.
It will create an issue.
Eliminate cricket totally from the ARG. So, as I said before, I think the
Coolidge Cricket Ground
would be a good option. A good option as well to host a few of these first class games, and the West Indies Cricket Board, I think, could look into that and make good use of the cricket grounds, because it's a good area and it's easy for people to get by, much more easier than at the Seviv.
So those are the thoughts of Anthony Martin. I wouldn't say I asked him a few searching questions, but he responded with a googly and trying to put me on the spot in the process. But it's all part of the fun we're having here in the commentary position. So at lunch, let's give you the scores. Leeward Islands 90 all out in their first innings. Barbados replying with 191 for 8 declared in their first innings. A lead of 101. Leeward Islands batting a second time, 49 for 1. That's the tail of the tape at lunch on the second day of this West Indies Championship match at the United Stadium. Until then, join us in about 35 minutes time for continued ball-by-ball coverage.
here at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium. Play about to resume after lunch on day 2 of the 4-day fixture, with the Leewards in their second innings, 49 for 1, with Monson Hodge, the opening batsman, on 27, and Devon Thomas on 15. They lost the wicket before the interval of Casey Carty was caught by Carter at second, slip of the bowling of Makino Mindley for 4 when the score was on 12. But there has been a rebuilding exercise between these two, and they've lifted the score to 49 for 1. Devon Thomas continuing his good form, and Monson Hodge as well, and they've looked good between in the wicket, and they have really provide a situation here where the Leewards can look to build after lunch and get a total and ease past that deficit of 101 and begin to look to set Barbados as a target.
Yes, I certainly agree with you, Jack. And we're noticing here that the Barbados team have chosen to start with Qian Harding. Probably they consider him their trump card. But also what I'm noticing is that there is a concerted effort to bowl their fast bowlers in short spells. So he bowled 3 overs before in his opening spell, and now he's coming back, I believe, for a short one.
First ball, he goes for the hook shot. Devon Thomas misses, and it's down the leg side to the wicket keeper, but that was quite close to Devon Thomas. He went for the hook shot. Not perhaps the best shot to be playing after the break. The ball was shortish, and he went for the hook and missed it. Could have edged it to wicket keeper Shane Dowridge. So he remains on 15. It's 49 for 1.
Yes, I think that was sort of risky, especially the first delivery after lunch, where you're just trying to get your eye back in. And you know what they say about breaks. Generally, sometimes the return from a break tends to produce a wicket.
Qian Harding, right arm over the wicket, and Devon Thomas is driving, missing outside the line of the option. A little bit late on the stroke. It was a full-length delivery outside off stump, almost Yorker length. And he went for the drive, a little bit late on it, and taken by the wicket keeper. 49 for 1.
Yes, Jack. This youngster Harding, I think he has immense potential, And that delivery, he has a very gentle run up to the wicket, but when he explodes and he delivers, he can get some balls that have a bit of pace on them.
Here is he once more, and Devon Thomas is getting inside the side of his stumps there, looking to whip the ball into the onside. As he got inside the line of that particular delivery, he was almost exposing his leg stump there, and they got the ball away down to the backward square area it looks as if it's holding that position, and not being able to get a run for it. Score is kept on 49 for 1. First over after the interval, as Qian Harding strides away from us, goes past the umpire, and this ball is down the leg side and beats the wicket keeper above the head of the leaping Shane Dowridge, and has gone away for 4 byes.
Yeah,
now that was a tough one for the keeper.
It appears as if the ball ended up in one of the rough areas that the rough marks made by the bowler, right there at the crease, right at the crease area, and exploded out of that area, and the keeper had no chance of getting that one. Just ran away to the boundary. 4 valuable runs for the Leewards, I would say.
Devon Thomas settles over 650 runs for the season, 2018-2019 season, and looking here to really show good form again. Got 100 against the Windwards. Settles over his bat, and here is Harding into ball to him. He goes for the pull shot, mistimes it. He goes rather slowly away towards the mid-wicket position, and there is no addition to the score.
And interestingly, Devon Thomas has shown himself to be a very valuable second innings batsman for the Leewards. I can recall in the game against Trinidad, he scored 90-something to put Leewards in a position to press home the advantage to push for a win. Against Jamaica, he made 60-odd in the second innings. Against Windwards last week, he made a century. So we're looking for a big score here.
Harding is in, and he's driving. And the ball has gone away for 4. He drove that well. It was a square drive. It was full length outside the off stump. And he launched himself into that drive, and it sped very, very quickly down to the backward point position for 4. The 50 coming up for the Leewards. Well, the 57. The 50 came with the wide.
Yes.
But in terms of the first scoring shot after the break. So it's now on to 57. 57 for 1 with Devon Thomas on to 19 and his partner Monson Hodge on 27.
Yes, having gotten 4 runs for that shot, I would still say that it was a bit risky because it flew in the air between the gully and third slip position. So he would want to be more circumspect on that shot. Yes, go for maximum, but at least try and play it as safely as possible so that he doesn't give any chances. At this moment, the Leewards cannot afford to lose any wickets, especially considering they're still in the deficit. And considering also that the Leewards will be highly dependent on Devon Thomas and what he can bring for them in the second innings.
And Monson Hodge is also a key in this second innings performance. He will be the man facing the next delivery. And it will be bowled by Mindley coming from the far end. This Andy Roberts end, southern end of the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium. Monson Hodge having scored 671 runs for the season. So he'll be hoping to get up to the 700 run mark. And only one batter having accomplished that already, Devin Smith. But his season has ended. The Windward Volcanoes completing their matches, and here is he just easing into line there and turning the ball away towards the forward square leg position. Ball is picked up there by Shane Mosley, and there is no run. 57 for 1. So Devon Smith ended with 745 runs. Monson Hodge looking to get up to that mark. He has 671 runs so far. And this is the final round of matches in the competition.
Or at least he would have had 671 runs before he started this innings, right?
Yes, so he's now on what, 27? So he's near the 700 mark. This ball is pushed away into the offside, and he goes up towards the mid-off position, and there is no run. So he has had, this is showing the website is showing that this is his 19th innings, 671 runs. So it should be 671 before this particular innings. So he included his first innings performance.
What about Devon Thomas as a...
Here is a ball from Mindley, which is taking the batsman on the pad, just coming into the right-hander and hitting it maybe above the pad itself, but hitting the thigh pad and just trickling away into the offside.
There might have been a hint of inside edge there too, I believe. I'm not sure. But it looked like it cut back in sharply to him.
Yes, and there was no peel, so clearly that ball would have missed maybe even the fourth stump. There was a appreciable inward movement from Mindley, bowling right arm over the wicket. And he runs in, now goes past umpire Nigel Dugid, and this delivery is keeping a little bit low. Monson Hodge has to be watchful, and he pushes it up towards the mid-off position, where it's fielded there by Shima Holder. And there is no run. 57 for 1, 27 to Hodge, and 19 to Devon Thomas. They came together when the score was on 12 at the fall of Casey Carty's wicket. He was caught by Carter at slip of the bowling of Mindley for 4. And Mindley is the man in operation now as he bounds in, right arm over the wicket. And he's driving beautifully. Gracious stroke through the offside to the left of mid-off. And Shima Holder just only turns and runs after the ball to retrieve it, because he was never going to stop that. It was full length, and he came onto the front foot and just punched the ball, and it sped very, very quickly down to the wide long off position for 4 runs. 61 for 1. He goes on to 31.
Yes, after he played that shot, he could have held that position for the cameras, because he didn't need to move at all. The timing was exquisite. His technique was very good, and everything on that execution was almost perfect.
So he will look to face Minley once more in the afternoon sunshine. He faces him now and gets a good length delivery and plays defensively, watchful into the onside. Goes up to Miguel Cummins at mid-off. The over ends with the score on 61 for 1. The Leewards Hurricanes, they have a deficit of 101, so they will look to get past that and hopefully set Barbados a challenging total, or that it's in the future. But at the moment, they're 61 for 1.
Yes, at the moment they're 61 for 1. And I think what would be important for the Leewards is, instead of looking at the long term, start looking at short-term goals. You know, maybe they say, okay, we're now at 61. Let's look at getting to 101, or you know, or take it 10 runs at a time. And if they are to look at that, if they're supposed to accomplish small goals, then the larger goals will be accomplished, because every time they say, let's reset. We're going for the next 10 runs. After they get those 10 runs, they reset again. Before they know it, the long-term goal, which is getting a big score, would be achieved. So they need to start setting smaller goals that they believe are more achievable than looking at the long-term, the bigger picture, where it may seem as a mountain.
Yes, and sometimes it becomes challenging psychologically.
Yes.
Qian Harding goes in at the start of his 5th over. This is pulled away through the mid-wicket region, and it's going to be a run around there. And did he touch the rope while he was holding the ball? He says no. And so they dashed back for the 2nd run, yes. So Devon Thomas going for the pull shot. Got it eerily away towards the mid-wicket position, and the Fila at backward square having a lot of running to do away to his left, and managed to get it before it got to the rope at mid-wicket. Devon Thomas?
Still not in full control of that shot, and he has to be a lot more careful when he's playing that shot, because at one point it can just balloon up in the air and present a simple catch for the mid-wicket. I think he's played that shot twice already for the day, and at both times he wasn't in complete control. For the Leeward's sake, they would want to ensure that he doesn't give a chance when playing that shot. For the Bajan's sake, though, they would like to see him continue playing it that way, and maybe at some point not have even less control, so that he would present a chance to the fielder. And as you can see now, because they have recognized that, they have taken the mid-wicket field and placed him halfway towards the boundary, which would present an opportunity for them.
Harding is in, and he flicks at it, doesn't make contact. Yes, that stroke was obviously the subject of discussion a while ago. There was the captain present, so was the bowler Qian Harding, and the fielder at mid-off. And after the discussion, they pushed the fielder back from the orthodox mid-wicket area to almost 3/4 of the way to the boundary.
And I'm sure the discussion was, he never had full control, and the ball dropped around that same area where they have placed the fielder. And if he continues to play that shot with the same type of control, they believe that they can get a wicket.
Well, we see if there's a short one. This is full pitch, and he drives, goes straight out to the cover point position. It's Tevin Walcott.
Looks
in
as
that
if
position, and there is no run.
Yeah, looks as if the bat turned in his hand just a while ago when he played that shot.
In fact, it was Brooks who did the fielding at that cover point position.
So let's see, it's an intriguing battle here between Harding and Devon Thomas. You could see Harding still sending instructions to that deep mid-wicket fielder, who is, as you said, just about 3/4 of the distance away from the batsman to the boundary.
Qian Harding turns Belos, bowling from the northern end. He's on his way to bowl to Devon Thomas. This is down the leg side. There's a flick at that full length ball. Doesn't make contact. And wicketkeeper Shane Dorridge skips away to his left to glove that.
I'll have to observe the bowler to see what is happening with him at the delivery stride. But it appears as if he may be falling over towards the left, and it's in so doing trying to spear the ball into the batsman, and by doing so over adjusting and sending the ball more predominantly now on the leg side.
Well, the trap is there. Will he go for the short ball now? Qian Harding, yes, but it's wide outside the line of the off stump. I think the intention there was to get it just maybe about off stump line
just
so that
the
he
right
would not be
shoulder.
able to control the hook and give a catch to one of those feelers, perhaps the one at that mid-wicket area. But Devon Thomas would have been very much inclined not to go after it.
Yes, and at that moment he was more upright in his delivery stride, so he's able to keep it outside off stump. Let's see what happens when he does spear them down the leg side.
2 slips and a gully as he goes in to bowl to Thomas, and this is up and he's driving. But he played outside the line of that particular delivery, so he went between bat and pad, taken by the wicket-keeper. The over ends with the score on 63 for 1, 63 for 1. Monson Hodge is on 31, and his partner Devon Thomas is on 21.
Yes, quite an intriguing battle being set up here between the bowler Harding and Thomas. As you can recall, Harding was the one who took his wicket in the first innings. I think it was his first wicket of his 5 wickets in the first inning, and pretty much a very well-timed shot that Devon Thomas would have played, but straight to the field at backward point, at backward square leg. And this time around, I think Devon Thomas would not want to gift his wicket to Harding, but in the process, he also wants to ensure make the statement to Harding that, hey, I am the man in form here. Let me show you what I'm all about.
And it will be more pace from the far end. Mindley will continue, and he's on his way, sprinting in to bowl to Hodge, and Hodge is forward and goes towards mid-wicket. An opportunity for him to add to his score of 31. An update on the match at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy in Trinidad. Jamaica Scorpions making a reasonable reply, 70 for 1 in reply to 389 by TNT Red Force. In the TNT innings, 94 by the middle order batsman for Trinidad and Tobago and the West Indies in Jason Mohammed. He made 94. Mindley is in outside the off stump, no shot offered by Hodge. And there was a 7-wicket haul for Nicholson Gordon of Jamaica, 7 for 70 in 22 overs in that match. Yes, so they're playing to try and avoid last place, these two teams battling in Trinidad.
I wonder if Nicholson Gordon is a debutant, because if he is, that would be quite a good start for his career as a bowler.
Certainly a 7-wicket haul. Many will be taking notice of that. Pushed into the offside. Good delivery from Mindley. Angled into the right-hander. And Monson Hodge was there defending. He has batted for long periods for the Leewards in this competition. And he's one that they will hope will be out there for a long time. Because he has not only accumulated runs, but he has occupied the crease for long periods. Settles over his bat now, right-hander from Anguilla. He faces Mindley, and Mindley is up to him, and he drives beautifully down the ground, 4 runs. Oh, that was majestic batting by Monson Hodge. A ball of full length, and he came down on it, and he drove it expertly on the offside of the stumps at the non-striker's end, and the ball sped across the outfield. The mid-off had no chance whatsoever, and 4 graceful-looking runs to Monson Hodge. He's 35, 67 for 1.
Again, very well timed as he came forward, just punching it out of the full length, straight back past the ball, and he just rocketed past him for 4. Well executed shot.
Mindley, arms pumping, comes in, and Monson Hodge is whipping the ball off his legs down to the backward square area, and it is Cummins, it looks like, it comes off the boundary.
I wanted to make an observation of the first and second slip whenever a ball is returned to the keeper, and you see them putting up a signal. I'm wondering what that signal is suggesting. Whenever the ball is returned to the keeper and he gathers it, they put up a signal, something like this. Check them out, the first and second slip fielder.
Whenever the ball is returned
returned to the keeper into his glove, they do something like this. I'm trying to figure what the meaning behind that is.
Mendes in. This is driven into the offside. Goes up towards the mid-off
Okay,
position.
look at it.
A
look
little
at it.
bit in the air.
Watch. You see that?
Yes,
The second and at least this time
That
it was the second
Carter
and
alone.
it was the second slip and gully, which was Chase who did it. So there must be a meaning behind that. It would be interesting.
Observation. So we'll ask them. We'll ask them what's that all about. More from Vincey Boyd, and then it will be Garfield Burford.
Maybe you could. I think there's a Bajan player on this side. Maybe you could ask him what the meaning behind that is. Yeah. So at this moment, it looks like. Yeah, Harding will be continuing. A decent over, but what I'm particularly impressed with is that Monson Hodge appears to be very much informed today and very purposeful in his approach to batting this innings. And it is, once there is positive from an individual perspective, it is positive from a team perspective. And so the Leewards are benefiting from his purposeful batting. And they have now erased 68 runs of that deficit that they had. They now have a remaining 33 runs to erase before they can ask Barbados to bat again. But these two are definitely looking very solid. I think so far Hodge has been the more impressive of the two, of him and Thomas. But as we know, Thomas has been in very good form, and anything can happen.
There we go, 68 for 1. Good afternoon to you again, Vincent. Good afternoon to our listeners. Harding bowls and Monson Hodge forward, or actually on the back foot, and displays this one into the offside. There is no run. 68 for 1. He remains on 38, 21 to Devon Thomas. So it's a much stronger reply from the Leewards Hurricanes, a much stronger performance in this second innings compared to their first innings when they were bundled out for just 90. So they are, in fact, beyond 2/3 the way of what they did in the first innings. And now they have 9 wickets in hand. So going very steadily indeed. Monson Hodge looking very solid, very impressive. He's driven beautifully. Here is Qian Harding running into bowl to him. And to this delivery, whipping it off the legs, down to the backward square leg fielder, and there is a single run. So Monson Hodge will take his score up to 37. Actually, he was 36, so he's 37 now. 69 for 1 the score. So that was fielded by the fielder on the deep backward square leg boundary.
Yes, that ball was played, came off the bat very quickly, but the fielder was strategically and perfectly positioned for that shot, and so he was only able to get 1 run.
There we go, and there we're seeing a mid-wicket, a deep mid-wicket in for Devon Thomas. They're looking to try to get him with this pull shot, and down the leg side, this will go for 4 byes. Badly directed short ball, so 4 wides down the leg side. So that one was a wayward, wild delivery by Qian Harding. He was obviously looking for the short ball, looking to induce a false shot from Devon Thomas to get one of the 3 players deep on the leg side into the play. But that was badly lined, and for Shane Dorridge, a valiant effort. He looked acrobatic in going at that one.
Yes,
but
he covered
it was
quite
in vain.
a bit of ground,
but it was in
and
vain.
still was in vain.
He needed 2 more lengths. Here is Qian Harding running into bowl to Devon Thomas, and Devon Thomas is swinging and is caught. Caught at first slip by Craig Bathwaite. So Devon Thomas, that was a shot, a disastrous shot. His feet were absolutely cemented to his crease. He just flayed the bat at it, took an inviting outside edge, going straight to first slip. Craig Brathwaite accepted with glee. Devon Thomas would be extraordinarily disappointed with himself for that one.
I would be extraordinarily disappointed with myself also, because that shot was played with a lack of discipline. He wasn't to the ball. It was wide outside of off stump. And having seen, knowing that your team is still not out of the quagmire yet, and knowing that you're the senior batsman in the side, he should have been a little more responsible with the decision to play at that ball. Should have left it alone. However, that being said, the bowler has garnered some success, and Barbados would feel some measure of confidence now moving forward, because they have taken the dangerous the dangerous wicket of Devon Thomas.
Devin Thomas, of course, was a centurion in the last match. The Leewards Hurricanes played against the Windies Volcanoes. A successful match for the Leewards Hurricanes, winning by 6 wickets in that one. Devin Thomas was unbeaten on 117 in that one. A very stroke-filled, impressive century by Devin Thomas. And one has to say, obviously, that there are a lot of mind games being played there. Obviously, he would have perhaps been expecting the short ball because they have 3 players deep on the leg side, the Barbados Pride have. And in fact, they consistently dropped back the mid-wicket to Devin Thomas. So obviously, to the back of his mind, he was expecting that short ball. And perhaps that would have played a role in his feet being cemented to his crease. He was expecting the short ball, obviously. He was staying on his back foot. So the new batsman is Hakeem Saunders, and he'll be taking his first ball from Qian. He runs in from the Secretary Ambrose end, bowls and beaten outside the off stump. That one was almost there for the edge. Playing and missing was Hakeem Saunders. A very good delivery, back of a length, and but that one perhaps a hint of movement, and by the time he played, it just whizzed past the outside edge to be taken by Shane Dorridge.
Yes, Hakeem Saunders, from what we saw in the first innings and now from that first delivery, doesn't appear to be that overly confident as a batsman. He started earlier in this season and he had a few failures, and I believe that might be weighing on his mind as he bats now. But he has to eliminate all of that from his mind.
Facing a second delivery, and to this delivery, he's just flicking it off the pads down to the long leg position, and they run through for a single, easy single. So he's off the mark. Hakeem Saunders off the mark, and now it's 75 for 2, the score. The Leewards Hurricanes 26 runs behind now on first innings. Just 26 more runs of that deficit to be eliminated before they start to set a target for Barbados Pride. But they would want to ensure that they don't lose any more wickets here after lunch. It could be a potentially dicey period for the Leewards Hurricanes.
Certainly so.
Monson Hodge looking very strong, though.
Yes, he does look very strong and look like he wants a big innings today.
Qian bowls to him, a short-pitched delivery, and easily out of the way is Monson Hodge, bringing that over to an end, the end of which the Leewards Hurricanes have progressed to 75 for 2. Monson Hodge going well on 37, and Hakeem Saunders, well, actually that was a leg by that he deflected down to the long leg position, so he's yet to get off the mark. So it's 75 for 2.
Yes, 75 for 2 indeed. And again, Hakeem, I should say Monson Hodge, negotiated that last delivery very well of a successful over from Qian. And that would have made the second time in the match that Qian got the wicket of Devon Thomas. And as you noted earlier, it may have been the anticipation of that short delivery that that dictated the way in which Devon Thomas played at that delivery, because as we noticed, his foot movement was definitely lacking. He just played at the delivery. I guess he figured that it was at a point where he can play that expansive slashing drive, and in so doing did not cover it as well and got the outside edge that took it straight to the fielder.
A change of bowling from the Sir Andy Roberts, and it's Miguel Cummings for the first time since lunch, bowling to he's bowling to the new batsman Hakeem Saunders, this one outside the off stump. So Miguel Cummings bowling for the first time since lunch, and they'll be hoping that the Barbados Pride will be hoping that he can take some more wickets to add to their bonus points, because as I said, 0.2 point for each wicket taken by a fast bowler. So the 2 wickets so far taken by fast bowlers, so they'll be hoping that Miguel Cummings can add to that number. And by the way, stats for Barbados Pride, they've played 9 matches. This is their 10th. They've won 5, lost 4. They've scored 4,044 runs. Here comes Miguel Cummings. Balls and good delivery outside the off stump. A beauty, in fact. Bowling to Hakeem Saunders. Hakeem Saunders looked to have been at sea there as that one pitched the back of a length and just doing perhaps a slight hint of movement off the seam and off the pitch. And that delivery just whizzed past the outside edge, but beaten outside the off stump. That was a beauty.
Yeah, that was a beauty. I think Hakeem Saunders made that look even more beautiful than it was. But it was a really good delivery. But you could see again that Hakeem Saunders is sort of maybe his confidence or his form is not as good as it should be, and so he's going to have a bit of a struggle, it appears.
If you're nearby to the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium, why not come on down, as here comes Miguel Cummings. Balls, and this delivery just a little bit shorter, and this time Hakeem Saunders fully in behind that delivery on the back foot, and just playing it into the offside. There is no run as the cover field between the cover and mid-off fielders converge on that one, and it's 75 for 2 the score remains. The sun not out in all its glory just now. That's a few alto cumulus clouds that's passing by. No threat of rain though, certainly not at the immediate future. The skies look quite dry. No moisture around pretty much. As Miguel Cummins looks to come in again, he bowls, and this delivery off a thick outside edge. And that one just squeezed out to the gully fielder. That's Roston Chase. Very distinctive is Roston Chase. He's owned that gully position pretty much the second for the second innings. He's pretty much been in that position exclusively, and as well for the first innings as well.
Yeah.
So Roston Chase owning that. Now the sun out in all its glory. So playing a little bit of a hide and seek, but it's a wonderful, resplendent setting here. Picturesque grounds. And it's a fascinating atmosphere for cricket, and it's a pity that they're just a sprinkling of spectators in the stands. And so it gets better as the day continues. As here comes Miguel Cummins. He bowls, and this delivery again identical to the delivery before that. A thick outside edge again as he looks to come and play for a forward defensive shot on the back foot.
Yes.
The ball taking a thick outside edge and going to Roston Chase again. This time it doesn't feel as cleanly, but he gets the ball in front of him. There's no run. 75 for 2. Hakeem Saunders yet to get off the mark. Monson, Hodge, and 37.
Yeah, just to comment on the spectators in the stands, about half of them actually appear to be visitors.
Absolutely.
And so it's nice that the visitors have come out to catch this game. Pity there are not more of our local spectators in the stands.
Absolutely. Miguel Cummins bowls, and this delivery is flicked away in the air. It will go to the boundary for 4 just about now. So that's trickling over the boundary rope. So Hakeem Saunders off the mark with an airy drive through the offside, an aerial drive through the onside, and that one just going to the square leg boundary for 4.
Yes, it looked more like, well, it looked like more of a flick over mid square leg, more so than anything else. You could definitely see that Hakeem Saunders has been sort of struggling with his batting so far in this innings. But what I would like to say, if he's prepared to fight, he can have success. And that ball came in a little more onto his body. He flicked it away over square leg in the vacant territory. It was in the air a bit, but he got 4 runs through it. Now, as I said, if he's prepared to fight, he can have success. And so sometimes you have to fight your way out of a poor form, and it shows the measure of your character when you do so.
Absolutely. It's Monson Hodge now who is facing from a new over from Qian Harding. Bowls, and Monson Hodge drives beautifully down the offside. He will not get 4 runs for this. No, just pull back inside the boundary. Good work. And they come back for the 3rd run. So Monson Hodge, brilliant drive again. His driving has been exemplary.
Yes.
Again, not a high bat lift on that one, not an expansive drive, didn't go for power, went for timing, and it came down on that, the sweet timing, it was just a gentle push, and it gave the fielder a heck of a time to pull that one back in. He did extraordinarily well in the end.
Which
and they come out for 3.
Which shows that he's timing the ball, he's seeing the ball, and he doesn't have to play with any over or any explosive flourish, just getting to the pitch and using the timing.
Here comes, and beaten outside the off stump is Hakeem Saunders. So that one, drawing applause from his teammates, is Qian Harding. That one, again, Hakeem Saunders playing precariously outside his off stump. He's living dangerously here outside his off stump, isn't he, Vincent? Because he's not getting in behind these deliveries, pitched just back of a length, and whether or not there's movement of the seam, I mean, he's just not getting into position, and he comes on late on that one.
Yeah, he didn't even have to play at that delivery, and as I said, he's showing a bit of struggle. But again, if he's prepared to fight,
let's see what happens here as 82 for 2. Here comes Qian Harding bowls, and this time he allows this one, Hakeem Saunders, to leave, to be left alone, to be taken by wicketkeeper Shane Doward. So this time, obviously, would have thought about it.
Yes.
There's a previous delivery to say, well, he might have been listening to you, Vincy. He never needed to have played at it.
Yes.
And a similar delivery, just back of a length, but outside the off stump, he chose not to play.
And the truth of the fact is, this delivery that he chose not to play at was fuller in length. It was closer, but he recognized that it could not disturb him in terms of taking his wicket, and he was able. And that is part of the process of preparing to fight, learning from your mistake, and then making the proper adjustment.
Absolutely. Here he faces Qian again. Bowls and taken on the pad, but this time going down the leg side, looking to just play a flick into the onside. There are two fielders in the onside. He was perhaps looking to play somewhere between the mid-wicket and deep square, backward square leg areas. But this one, no contact. The ball cannoning the pads. No appeal from the Barbados Pride. That one was obviously going down the leg side. 82 for 2 the score. Monson Hodge on 40. Hakeem Saunders on 4. Hakeem Saunders facing.
I would have to say he has to exhibit some more caution in terms of playing that shot. He seems type of loose when he was trying to execute it, and he seems to favor that shot also. We have to see how this works out.
Qian bowls to him, and this time he's forward and dabs this one into the leg side, going into a square leg area, the vacant square leg area. They cross for a single. Hakeem Saunders therefore moves on to 5. The score 83 for 2, and the Leewards Hurricanes inching towards that deficit target. Of course, they have to hit off 101. They're now 83 for 2, so 18 runs adrift of that deficit before they start to set a target for Barbados Pride. Monson Hodge one fields will be very central and key to the Leewards batting in this innings.
Yes. And you know, we were talking earlier about the points and strategies and all of these type of things. If the Leewards...
I'm looking at what's happening here.
Wow.
I'm looking at what's happening here, because there's a stop and play. I see Monson Hodge shaking the hands of...
I think the game has ended.
The game seems to have ended.
And
on the basis of what?
I was just about to comment and say if the Leewards were able to knock off that deficit and without any further loss, and they were supposed to declare, they would effectively have placed second in this competition. What has happened now is that with the Leewards, as it appears here, with the Leewards declaring at this point, means that the Leewards have ended with 132 points, right? And even through the declaration, they would have forfeited the match to Barbados. I'm just talking through this. It means now that Barbados would get the 12 points. They would only get 0.4 bonus points, right? They would only get 0.4 bonus points, which means now Barbados ends up on 130 point. Let me see.
Okay, we're working out. So this is happening very quickly.
What is happening is that
what
is happening here is that the amount of points that Barbados have garnered through this forfeiture, it appears, by the Leewards, it cannot take them past Leewards for second place.
So they've just called a truce, essentially. They've effectively
effectively.
called it a day.
Now let me just do the figures real quick, because 118, right?
Right.
0.8 plus 0.4
okay,
gives you 119.2.
So just for our listeners, so while Vincent Bowen is working out the math here, this is what it is. So we've been just taken a little bit by surprise, because at 83 for 2, Monson Hodge on 40, Hakeem Saunders on 5, the match has ended because the players just walked off, just shook each other's hands, shook the umpire's hands, and have pretty much declared it. So this is the point standing for Barbados Pride. 131, based on our calculations, 131.2 points.
Yes.
And for the Leewards Hurricanes, they are now at 132.
Which means that effectively...
Sorry, my bad. So Barbados is 131.2, and Leewards Hurricanes 132. So even with the points that Barbados Pride has garnered so far...
So by Leewards declaring, what they're pretty much saying, we're surrendering the match to you.
But knowing that they're still in second place, the Leewards.
They're still in second place. So effectively,
and there's no way Barbados
cannot get the required additional bowling points that would allow them to overtake Leewards. Had they bowled out Leewards in the second innings and then gone on to win the match, they cannot get the required number of points to overtake Leewards to get into second place. So it is a strategic move by the Leewards, but what it does, it robs us, the public, both the spectators and the listeners, of a match going to its end.
Well,
we have not even completed 2 days of the game.
We've been taken by
Is that
surprise.
acceptable?
We've been taken by surprise. Colin James is not amused by this, and I'm sure some of our listeners are equally not amused. In fact, Colin James is not only not amused, Colin James seems to be bemused by this, as some of our listeners are, because...
what is the result of the game?
The result is obviously the Barbados Pride have won the match. Well, they forfeited it.
What Leewards have decided to do by a declaration is to close their innings.
So they lose by an innings?
Yes, they would have lost by an innings. And I think the deficit was 18 runs. So they would have lost by an innings and 18 runs. Now,
but they still end up second place.
But having said that, it is a strategic declaration for the purpose of securing their position.
Is it a declaration or a forfeiture?
Well, if you declare, I mean, well,
it should the umpires. Well,
I believe you forfeit by declaring.
All right, but as I said, it's all happening here.
Have you ever come across anything like this?
I remember a few years ago there was a match in the regional championships where I don't know, I think it involved Barbados also, where they would have declared after losing 3 or 4 wickets for a small amount of runs, and it was again a strategic move so as to prevent the other team from earning some amount of points. Now, I never paid much attention to it at the time, but it would be interesting to go back from a historical point of view to understand what pertained in that particular match and what would have forced the declaration. Now remember also that Barbados would have declared earlier strategically to eliminate Leewards getting additional bowling points. And so what their strategic declaration, and again, they didn't tell us that. We're making assumptions, right? But I would want to believe that the way Alzari Joseph was bowling, had he gotten those additional 2 wickets, that would have given the Leewards an additional 0.4 bowling points, which means that it would have narrowed the opportunity for Barbados to leapfrog Leewards. And so Leewards decided, hold on, and Leewards probably have decided, well, if you're going to play that game, we can play that cat and mouse game.
But is it good for the game?
It is. I don't think it's good for the game because we want to see cricket, the listeners want to hear cricket, and they want to see.
But the players should be interested in playing cricket.
Hold on, Colin. Yes, at the end of the day.
But what is the purpose of playing them? Not to play cricket?
Colin, what I'm saying, at the end of the day, this is what we want. But remember, there are many forces at play. The Leewards also want to ensure that they end up in second place. And having been languishing at the bottom half of the table for a few seasons, maybe Leewards want to say, hey, you know what, we are happy with the work that we have done during this season. And so we are prepared to make this move to ensure that we stay at second place. Now, whether there are penalties for that or not, we are not so sure. Whether we like it or not, I certainly do not like it, but I can understand if that is the position that they have taken. I can understand that for them, it's more important maintaining their position than to finish the match and leave it up to chance. Again, it's not necessarily the best thing for us as cricketers and cricket fans, etc. But again, we must remember that it is not alone about us, but it's also about the individuals who are playing the game.
But they're being paid, Vinci. It's a job they're doing. It's incomprehensible. How are you gonna convince me that you players are out there being paid to do a job and they're not doing their job? They can call it quit early in the job?
My purpose here is not to convince you. My purpose here is
to try to make sense of it.
How could you make sense from nonsense?
Put it this way, Colin, to be fair,
it is nonsense to you, but it is not necessarily nonsense to the guys in the dressing room.
Yes.
And whether we agree with it or not.
To some extent, I see Colin's angst and I see Colin's annoyance and his frankly his vitriol, because this is what it comes down to.
I certainly support Colin's position, but I am not here to
make a
support one side. I have to be objective in my analysis of this particular situation.
Let me read you something from one text.
Give me one sec, please. For our listeners, but just before you come in, Colin, for our listeners who are just joining us and are probably confused and bemused about what has happened, what it is that the Leewards Hurricanes, having reached 82 for 2, they have now decided to 83 for 2 actually they were. They've now decided to call it a day, literally call it a day, because in the words and in the mind of Vinci Boyne, our very analytical commentsman, he argues that there is a position in the game now where it is impossible, even with whatever bonus points are available for the Barbados Pride, it is impossible for Barbados Pride with those available bonus points to overtake the Leewards Hurricanes in the second place. And so the Leewards Hurricanes
say they earned the bonus points, not necessarily available, because if they had continued to play the match, then there would be more bonus points to be garnered from the continuation of the game. But they're saying with what Barbados have earned so far, having declared, they are putting themselves in a position of power to maintain their second position in the championship.
We're going down a road that we haven't reached as yet, in my view. What if people had paid to come inside the ground today? What would you tell them in terms and tomorrow?
Right, absolutely.
That's the issue. This is a first-class game with players being looked at to be picked to play Test cricket, and without 6 sessions or even 5 sessions of a game finishing, you're calling a game quit. What is this saying?
You're going to read the text, Colin.
The text says this cannot be good for cricket at all.
I agree with the text.
Is it all about winning a competition or playing the best cricket? I'm very disappointed in this, and I think this point structure needs revisiting.
Colin, again, as I said, and please be clear.
I can't be thinking about
But what has happened in the middle is being driven by more than one factor, and it's not.
The only factor should be playing cricket.
Okay, let him finish.
Even though, and let me be clear here, I agree with your position that we should see cricket.
Absolutely.
I am agreeing with your position. But as an analyst, I have to look at all the parameters and factors that may drive a decision. And that may be the factor. The coach and the captain has not come out and spoken yet. So until they have spoken,
by the way, we'll be trying to get
until they have spoken, we can only confirm what we are saying. But based on what I am looking at, and if it's strategic, just the same way Barbados declared this morning, to ensure that maybe Leewards couldn't get an additional 0.4 points from bonus points, maybe it is the same thing that is entailing here. Leewards decided strategically, if we declare now and we forfeit the match, even if we give you the 12 points, you cannot overtake us and get to that championship. However, if we were to bat out the innings and you were to get the additional point, 1.8 points, 1.6 bowling points, those additional points would have given you an opportunity to overtake us and become second place in this championship. Then I'm not saying I understand it and I agree with it, but I'm not saying I agree with it, let's put it this way, but I can understand also the position of the coach and the players in the camp. Whether I agree with it or not, it's not an issue. I do not agree with it.
And they want to go home.
Could it be seen as a cowardly position?
It could be considered that way, and if people want to have that opinion about that particular position, they're free and open to have their opinion. I'm not taking away anybody's opinion. What I am saying is that though I may not agree with it, that is their position. Even though we like it or not, it has happened, and and we are just trying to explain the situation. I do not agree with it because we came here, we wanted to watch cricket, we wanted to comment it, and we wanted to see an enthralling and engrossing competition. And we even thought that had the Leewards played well enough, they could have put themselves in a position to win. Having said all of that, and we do not agree with the decision, I am just trying to make sense of the decision in the sense that even though we do not like it, we may believe it is nonsense. That is the position.
But you know that you're trying to elucidate the thought processes of the Leewards. That is why they would have made the decision.
That is all I'm
Colin,
trying
you were saying.
No, it comes back to the point I was making last week when Jack, and I think Vinci, and I even think Anthony Martin agreed with these bonus points. Now, if this was played if the competition was played on the old format, in terms of you get 6 points for first innings and 12 for win. Whether or not you win first innings point and you get an outright win, you will still get your 12 points because you win outright. The competition would have been much more interesting, and this game would have gone down to the wire. But this notion about bowling points for promoting fast bowling and developing fast bowlers and encouraging fast bowlers to take wickets has really put the cricket into another realm which we need not to go to. And because of that, we have a stalemate here. And you're telling me this is not the competition of 30 years ago, you know. This is the first-class professional league in the Leeward Islands. These players are being paid to play. People like you, Burford, me, Vincy, Jack, would have given up time to come here to commentate this match as professionals, and we expect to see a similar approach by the players. That's the bottom line. We expect to see cricket. We have not even reached tea on the second day of a first-class 4-day match, and the game is being called off. This is unheard of. There's nothing wrong with the pitch. There's nothing wrong with the conditions. So what is the cricketing reason for this game not being played up to now? Give me the cricketing reason for this game not being played up to now.
Well, obviously...
And if you can give me that cricketing reason, I will hush my mouth.
Obviously, Colin feels very strongly about this. Obviously, as I said, the decision was taken.
How could the umpire?
I don't think the umpires would have been in a position to have determined otherwise. I don't think the umpires could do.
They control the game.
No, but I don't think they can force the players. If they want to come off and forfeit, the umpires, I don't think can say, well, you can't do it. I don't think there's any rule certainly not in the first class game for that to happen. But obviously what it is, we need an explanation and we're going to be trying to get either Winston Benjamin or Hakeem Cornwall to explain this position, because obviously it was the Leewards Hurricanes who made this decision. And I'm very certain that our listeners in Barbados are equally bemused and concerned and disappointed, because they would have wanted to hear how their team carries on for the rest of this match. So,
what are these players telling us?
What of course that is an anticlimactic end to what otherwise was shaping up to be a very intriguing match, and it has an anticlimactic end to it.
What I would say is that it is very disappointing from the perspective of the spirit of the game. You have not given me a fair opportunity to do what I need to do on the field, both as opponents and proponents. That declaration has done that. Monson Hodge was showing very good form. He was in a position to overtake the lead as far as the most runs scored in the regional championship. He was in position to do that. So was Jonathan. Was it Carter?
Jonathan Carter, yes.
So was Jonathan Carter. Additionally, it also eliminated the opportunity for Barbados to approach this thing from the perspective of winning the match. Thirdly, it also eliminated the opportunity of seeing a possible comeback by Leewards, where they could have turned around this match to maybe even possibly win it. So there are many different things that we can argue this about. Again, let me be clear. Let me be clear in my position. I am disappointed. I am not happy with the decision. I was only trying to explain what may have been the thought process. Regardless of whether that is the thought process, I still don't agree with it. But we may talk about from the perspective of what should entail and how it should be approached. But maybe that's the idea that they decided to, that is the perspective they decided to approach it from. Again, I do not agree with it. However, at the end of the day, maybe for the Leewards and the Leewards camp, it was more important to secure second place and utilizing this process than to go about it from a perspective where we say, hey, let's settle it on the field as gentlemen.
Let me just ask you a quick question before Colin comes back in. Let me ask you a quick question. Is it not conceivable that the Leewards Hurricanes could have secured second place by continuing to the remainder of the, in other words, had they played the entire match, is it not conceivable that they could have still secured second
They could
place?
have, and there are two scenarios. One, they could have secured it by winning outright. That's one. That would have settled the issue. Secondly, they could have won second place by building a large enough score to set Barbados and ensuring that they would have gotten four or five of the Barbados wickets in the second innings chase by Barbados. They would have secured second place. Now, maybe in the Leewards camp, they're thinking, this is a tough ask. Maybe they're saying that they might not have been able to achieve that. First, the victory, and secondly, that they weren't sure that they could secure 5 second innings wickets for the Bajans, and so it may have been difficult for them to do it. Now, for us, we may say, hey, challenges in life may be a good thing, and let's approach it from that perspective. Maybe they're saying, let's take the safe way out and deal with it from that perspective. I don't know. But again, I am not in agreement, but I am just trying to make sense of it in terms of what I explained.
Jack Matthew joins us.
The situation, I just spoke with the manager, Wilden Cornwall, and he said because of the point situation and the bonus points to be had for fast bowlers getting wickets, Barbados denied them the opportunity to get their bowling points, and so they have reacted to that by declaring forfeiting the match so that they would finish in second place ahead of Barbados. What has happened here is that
It's a tit for tat.
it's a tit for tat situation. What has happened here is that the game has lost. The game has lost, and just for the sake of finishing second. Now, Cricket West Indies will have to look at this and review how they go about awarding bonus points in the future, because you could have a repeat of this. And this is not what West Indies cricket is all about.
Yes.
And this is not the intention of the bonus point system.
Yes.
The intention of the bonus point system is to first play cricket, and to play cricket in a very exciting, adventurous way, adventurous way, so that you could bring out the best out of the players, and the spectators would have something to look at and draw to. So it's a situation here where this is unprecedented, and cricket has lost a great deal, and West Indies cricket cannot afford to have this being repeated in the future.
It's almost petty. It's almost petulant. It's almost childish, really, what has happened here, because you're seeing a situation, Jack and Colin and Vincy and our listeners, where because one team did a particular thing to deny bonus points to the other team reacts and does the same thing in return. What on earth is happening there? I mean, that makes no sense. And what it is, the upshot of that is that tomorrow, Saturday, it could have really set this up for a really riveting encounter to the finish. And possibly going into Sunday, at least possibly the first part of Sunday. Instead, we're having the match end, instead of ending with a boom, it ends with a whimper. What on earth is that about?
And when the point system was formulated, I believe the intention was to have the bonus points only for the first innings. I think the thinking was that it could be manipulated in the second innings, and then we would have a fast such as what has happened here. But where it was unintentionally done was to award bonus points for the entire match. And bonus points would go to
only
teams
for bowling.
For fast bowlers, for the fast bowlers. It will only go as a result of fast bowlers picking up wickets. And this is the area of contention here. So instead of now having a situation where you're encouraging cricket, you're encouraging fast bowlers to come to the fore, we have come around to the opposite, where there is no cricket, so more bonus points can be had, and the sport has lost. So it's a tragic state of affairs right now. And I hope that the Cricket West Indies will intervene very, very quickly, and so we do not have a repeat of this, because it's absolutely absurd. It's Not
it's,
good.
It's
It's not good.
farcical. It's what there's a genre in literature, in especially Shakespearean literature, called tragicomedy, where it's a mix between a tragedy and a comedy, and this qualifies to be almost a tragicomedy. This is farcical. It is weird. It is unprecedented. It is ridiculous. It is childish. It is petulant.
This is not comedy, you know. It's tragic.
Yeah, and
It's
what the
tragic.
West Indies
Let's
cricket
get,
board,
let's get rid of the comedy.
this
This is not comedy.
Our cricket West Indies
Well,
would have
it's
to do,
obviously comic to some persons, obviously, because they must be amused by it.
and what cricket West Indies would have to do in the immediate future as they work out this, would be to come up with a clause that you cannot declare based on preventing teams from getting bonus points. So you cannot forfeit the match under these circumstances. It would have to be under other circumstances, which would not allow in a first class game. And you normally forfeit matches because you have insufficient players and that sort of thing.
They may have to look at
it has to be absolutely.
They may have to look at a penalty system for forfeiture other than specific safety reasons.
Right, and the forfeiture and the penalty should be forfeit your position.
Not
Not
necessarily
only-
forfeit your position,
well, you
but
finish last.
deduct your points or something
Well,
like that.
and then, yeah, so then you would
It
not
must be
finish.